So today started off pretty well. I had lessons that went okay, and then afterwards I had packed my own lunch, so I went with Erica towards the roof and we had a really nice picnic lunch with a lovely view, which was lovely. I need to do that more often because it's much nicer than eating in the cafeteria. On top of this, my poster presentation went pretty well. I didn't have to do very much because my teammates were nice enough to answer most of the questions, but they left a couple of the easy ones to me. By the end of the day, I was feeling really on top of things. I'm very ahead on my studying because we didn't have a test this week, so I've been studying ahead of time for the test next week, which is great because I might not actually have to cram for once. And I was just feeling on top of everything. It's the last 10 minutes of class. I'm just thinking of what I'm going to be doing over the weekend and thinking maybe I can do some editing today and take some time off studying. And then the teacher tells us that we have to write a 600 character essay by next week. Now, 600 characters doesn't sound like a lot, right? But our normal essay sessions are 1 hour, and that's to write a 300 character essay. And that is really, really hard, even on very easy topics. And my team, for some reason, chose a really difficult topic with very little information available online. All of it is in Japanese if I want to actually get anything detailed. So I'm gonna have to figure out what things mean and then write an essay about it. Great! This of course is on top of all of my other homework, studying, and the 3 tests I have next week, so please send help. I don't think I've mentioned this before, but for the past couple of weeks we've been having this reading homework to do, where we get given a paragraph of text. We have to practice it at home, and then every person has to read it on a random day from Monday to Friday. And it was my turn this morning. This was the first week in which we were doing the text from the new book instead of some handouts from the previous book. So the level has gone up considerably from last week. And I did really well in it. So I'm really happy about that. The teacher asked me how much I've practiced, and I said 3 hours, and he seemed not a little bit surprised, but I'm really happy with that. I still feel like I'm the worst person in class, so when I do really well on something, it makes me feel like I belong in the class. I really need to stop feeling like that because I've been in this class for a month and a half. After morning classes, I also had a calligraphy class in the afternoon. The one last week was cancelled, so it was really fun to be back at it. I'd missed holding a calligraphy brush, not a paintbrush, but similar to a paintbrush and just as fun. We are going to be starting on our class project soon, which is making a calendar, and in order to do that we need to choose one kanji out of, 10,000, just a single kanji that needs to look beautiful in terms of how it's written, but also have a beautiful meaning and somehow represent the year 2020. So that's gonna be a tough decision, but I'm gonna be researching some kanji and trying to brainstorm a little bit and figure out what I want to do for that. Additionally, the lists for Culture Day were published, and I managed to make it into the Kiyomizu pottery class, which was my first choice, so I'm really happy about this. I had a look at the sample projects, and I believe that we only get to use one color, so I'm gonna be thinking about a design beforehand because I don't want to just wing it on the day. I want to make something beautiful that I can take home as a souvenir. But before I can do any of that, I have a kanji test tomorrow that I'm definitely not prepared for. So that's what I'm gonna be doing first today, and hopefully do some editing as well, if I can. Wish me luck. It was such a sunny day today, so me and Sylvia decided to completely ignore the fact that we were both drowning in homework and instead go momiji watching at a temple. After arriving at a udon restaurant of choice and realizing the queue went all the way across the street, past the crossing and onto the next street, we decided to look around the area for a different place and eventually came across a family-run restaurant with only a half-an-hour queue, so much better. After the food, we went into Nanzenji Temple, specifically the gardens for it, which was so beautiful. Before today I was kind of confused about everyone's obsession with Momiji. Everyone keeps telling me that we can't go to so-and-so place yet because it's gonna be much better if we wait for Momiji. But turns out they're sort of right about this. I thought it would just be normal autumn like in England, but it's actually so much better. The leaves here have this small, very delicate shapes, so the sunlight just goes straight through it and creates all of these like sparkly reflection, golden effects, which look much better in person than in camera. But it was so gorgeous to look at. I definitely understand now why everyone thinks Momiji is so great. Friday after class was an impromptu trip to Kawaramachi where we had some fancy buffet vegetable lunch, and then after that we did some Christmas shopping. During our shopping we lost our way a little bit and bumped onto this really beautiful secluded looking shrine. No people there whatsoever, but it was in the middle of this really built up shopping area, which is insane. I really like Kyoto. Saturday was sports day, also known as the day in which the school decided to make us sit in a gym all day watching games, rather than being outside during peak Momiji season. I'm not bitter about this. Maybe a little bit. It was actually quite fun. I just think the timing for this was really bad. They should have either done it a few weeks before or a few weeks after, just not during that 1 week. So a couple of weeks ago I had volunteered to help make the posters for Sports Day, which resulted in me sitting around watching some art students make posters for Sports Day while I realized that I wasn't good enough. Despite my protests, my name was actually on the volunteer list, which meant that I had to sit with those art students and show off a poster, which meant taking credit for something that I barely participated in, which wasn't super comfortable, but they're nice, so whatever. But because of this, I was sitting at the very front when we suddenly started doing this very Japanese-looking warm-up in which the teachers suddenly all looked like anime characters jumping up and down, which means I'm gonna be at the front of all of the photos. Great! After a lot of miscellaneous activities, throwing balls into a basket for about 10 minutes, and the ultimate 200 people rock paper scissors tournament, I was finally able to get home, only to then rush back out 2 hours later. One of my Japanese friends from uni had moved into Kyoto recently and we were meeting up for dinner. I had not spoken to her in Japanese since before starting this language program, so this was the ultimate test for me to figure out how much I'd improved. The result of this is inconclusive since we spent most of the time speaking in English, but I did understand her when she ordered food, so progress. Sunday wasn't very exciting. I stayed in most of the morning doing my work, and then I had to go run an errand at the post office in the afternoon. But I had the most magical walk due to Momiji, so please enjoy the following footage of me walking to the post office. See you next week.